fact that we're 8-2, and y'all should be happy with the fact that we're 8-2. But winning a game like that, like nobody should be happy with the way things transpired tonight. Like that was a joke. Like just plain and simple. Like for all the issues that we had, and I thought we'd get a lot of this cleaned up. Sean Payton said, he prides himself on discipline and execution. We had 11 penalties before the fourth quarter, and while Bo Nix just was not seeing the field at all tonight, he was pretty poor. It's a tough day to play quarterback when you're starting at the 1. It's a pretty tough day to play quarterback when every drive is like 1st and 20. Okay. I get that the Raiders are paid to make plays too. I get Thursday Night Football can often be very sloppy. That is no excuse for the lack of execution that we saw tonight.
Yep. No, absolutely, man. And that's kind of my thing. Like the undisciplined nature of this team. Like you kind of felt like they were starting to clean it up a little bit over the last few weeks, right? It was getting a little bit better. There was still a lot of like missed assignments and stuff like that, but the pre-snap penalties is getting better, and they just like rear their ugly head again. Like it's so frustrating because it always happens right when we start to get something going, right when you feel like, all right, we got a little bit of momentum, we're moving the ball, and they just absolute drive killers.
Well, 2-minute drill. Remember Pat Bryant? He got the conversion, then he got called for OPI, and then what's it called? We got I can't remember what happened after that, but we were headed in the right direction again, and then it was either a false start or a hold. I forget on who. But
I think it was a hold on Mercedes Lewis, but it might have been a false start. But yeah, and then all of a sudden it's like instead of you're easily in field goal range before, now you're at the other side of the field, and it's like it was done, and it was the same kinds of things. Like the 2 out of the first 3 drives, where we start the game on the 1-yard line, and even then it's like you have a run. You get a nice little run, and then all of a sudden, boom, penalty. And instead of 2nd and 3, it's 2nd and 13 from the 3-yard line, 2-yard line, and it's exactly. Like that's it. It's gonna wash out the drive. It's just like unbelievable how it just kind of peaked this ugly head. But yeah, I mean you cannot feel good about winning a game like that.
No, you cannot.
There hasn't been any semblance of that. Like I feel like every other game had a little bit of a built-in excuse. This one was just piss poor, awful.
Yeah, no, and I think we were very, very lucky to win that game. Like we were just so lucky, especially with the blocked punt. You were very lucky that the Troy Franklin interception, whatever. You are very lucky that did not come back to haunt you. You are very lucky that the Raiders committed a hold. Jack Besh on the other side of the play when he didn't need to hold on a huge Genty run. You are very, very lucky that all those things went down. And overall, that's all I could say is that you were lucky. You escaped this one. And what's crazy to me is that last year, this team had almost no expectations, and we were beating the nuts off of every team we should have. And this year, I don't know. Yeah, you had the Bengals, you had the Cowboys, but you're not going to be able to play 2 historically bad defenses every week. No. What's the deal?
No, and it just seems weird. It's almost like even when we played the Cowboys, I know how bad they were, but the offense just seemed like it was at least in some sort of a rhythm. Like Bo was getting the ball out of his hands. Things were kind of happening smoothly. Today it was like there was nothing going on. It seems like guys were missing blocks all the time. Bo just quickly wanted to escape. No one's really running downfield. Guys are dropping the ball. Bo's throwing it inaccurately. Like it was wild. And it's like it goes for these stretches. How do you fix it, bro? What do you think during this mini bye?
We're in week 10, man. I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Because, I get it. First month of the season, everybody was like, all right, Sean Payton's not really in his bag in September. I was like, whatever. I can forgive that. Bo Nix historically also started slow, except for his final year at Oregon. I was like, all right, all that I can stomach. But, man, we're in week 10. We're in week 10, and all the issues were Sean Payton, after week 2, week 3, was just like, all right, we got to get that cleaned up. I was saying, where's the mop bucket? And the mop bucket still hasn't come out. There's no cleaning solution. There's no chemicals here. And now there are 2 positives I do have to take away from this game. Actually, 3 positives. Okay. First of all, you're very lucky that the Raiders are irresponsible and they continue to send Geno out there. That was coaching malpractice, especially after what happened on Sunday night with Daniels. That could have ended really, really poorly. So we got lucky there. 2, you're also very lucky that in the NFL, okay, you're not going to look at this game at the end of the year and be like, well, you beat the Raiders. It only cost in disgusting fashion. It's only 0.1 of a win. Nope. It all counts the same. So you are still an 8-2 football team, but we are not going to be in the playoffs very long if this keeps up. Yep. Number 3, I guess another positive is that this is not going to be a fun next 10 games for this team. Next 10 days, I should say, for this team. Because you got to wait 10 days to come out against Kansas City. And I guarantee it's not going to be very fun in that building with what Sean Payton has to say, what the offensive coaching has to say. And yeah, if I was on the defensive side of the ball, I would pull I forget who was like fighting each other in practice, but if I was on the defensive side of the ball, I think I'd start to get a little of that going. I'd be like, guys, like, what's going on? Like, Marvin Mims is not this important to our offense.
No shit. No shit. Yeah, man. I mean, again, like Sean's got to look in the mirror too. There's like little things that are so fixable that drive me nuts. Like, dude, something as simple as every time Bo Nix goes hut 1, hut 2, he's gonna sneak it. Mm-hmm. Like, why are we making like simple things so difficult, so hard? Like, we finally had good runs at the end of that last drive that ultimately killed the clock, and it's like, where the hell have those been all day?
Yeah.
That running at a shotgun, always trying to have a moving pocket, like it's mind numbing. And yeah, I mean, the defense has got to get on their ass quickly, because as great as they've been, and I'm sure they really take the challenge of like that we always kind of put upon them about, like, winning the game or making the plays. But dude, it's got to get significantly better. I think for me, like, it starts with just really, and I know we've been saying this a lot, but they actually have to do it. Like, just simplify stuff. Mm-hmm. I think it was Troutman or something caught on the hot mic being like, get the fucking subs in. Like, why are we always so intent of constantly switching things? Why is it that when we play at home on a short week at altitude, we use the altitude to our advantage in no way? Like, we should have been running hurry up early in the game. We should have been trying to jam it down their throats and getting them exhausted. And instead, we just give them constant 3 and outs to where they can stay fresh. Like, it's just those small things that drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah, by the way, 10th game of the year. Like, we saw it in the Tennessee game, and we were just like, all right, whatever. This is going to get cleaned up. And then now it's like tomorrow is 2 months exactly from the first Tennessee game, and it's still going on, And all offseason, I'm going to be like, all right, last offseason, all we had to talk about was, all right, who do we add to potentially get us over the hump? This offseason, we have to be like, all right, what's actually going to happen with Bo Nix? Is Sean Payton going to be able to clean up the penalty problem? Is Sean Payton actually going to, this whole season, it's just felt like Sean Payton is taking a massive bong rip before every game. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like, listen, I don't have issues with Sean Payton as a play caller. I don't, anybody who used that as a cop out, like, I'll give you the 3rd and 1, like, backwards pass to Sutton. That was bad. I'll give that to you. But it's really tough to call plays in the NFL when your offense isn't executing and your quarterback's not seeing the field at all.
Yep. No, I mean, like I said, you make a good point, but I think as a play caller, your job is to say, okay, how can we make it as easy as possible for you guys to at least get some confidence, at least get some things going, and then we can kind of work it in. Like, he did a good job of that. I don't know if it was I think it might have been even the Cowboys game, where I felt like they weren't trying to sub things a lot. They weren't trying to sub guys in and out. They just kind of wanted to get things going, and then they started to be like, all right, now we can build on this. And it's just got to revert back to that, because it's not like this team suffers from a talent issue. That's what was driving me crazy today. It's like, guys, why does it seem like we're so intent on like getting certain looks all the time against a team that you're just better than? Just line up your best guys and beat them. Yeah. And it's like, that's where it drives me nuts. I can understand it maybe a little bit more when maybe you're going up against a really good defense, or you want to exploit some sort of matchups. But when it comes to especially teams like this, dude, our guys are better than their guys. There's no reason that secondary should have, held us to 136 yards passing. Just go at them.
Yeah.
I do that's where it drives me nuts.
Yeah, but I do think we're starting to see a lot of what we saw last year from the wide receiver room early on, especially. I think we're starting to see a lot of really poor play, like just from that wide receiver room in general. And that's just going to have to be addressed this offseason. I just hate to say it, but Pat Bryant, he's doing his fair share, in my opinion, especially as a rookie. So he's the only one that gets passed for me. But Sherfield, complete non-factor. Okay, Sutton, where have you been? Like, where have you been lately? I mean, nice touchdown catch last week, but you know, you're the guy. Troy Franklin, it's been rough. Wide receiver 2 opportunity, it's been rough so far. And Evan Ingram has added nothing to this offense. And I think we're just deploying too many non-factors so far. Too much Prentice, too much Troutman. I know a lot of people are, fine with his blocking or whatever, but why are we targeting him? And Lucas Kroll was still getting too many third down targets when he was healthy, even though I don't think we'll have to worry about that for the rest of the year. So yeah, all I have to say, once again, Marvin Mims is not that important to this offense. Nate Adkins is not that important to this offense. Okay, I know Miners did go out with an illness, so I think I think that's positive because illness suggests that you give his immune system time to.
Well, he came back too.
Yeah. So, luckily, yeah. But Ben Powers is not this important to your offense. Like, there's just so many things that I'm just like, why is it so hard for your offense to get going? And it's hard to not look at the quarterback. Like, if you had told me before the year began, like in May, June, when we were looking through the schedule and we were just like, all right, W there, W there, W there. If you had told me that we were 8-2 heading into the first KC game, I would have thought Knicks was a lot further along. That's just all I have to say.
Yeah. No, for sure. And today was definitely, one of his worst performances for sure. He just seemed very uneasy the whole game, very, very much so. And you saw semblances of that a lot in the beginning of the year. Again, you still always saw it creep up, but I felt like, man, it was getting so much better. But today it was just he couldn't see. Not only were his mechanics bad, but like you said, he wasn't seeing the field. He almost looked like he had no idea where he wanted to go with the football. So, I think with him, man, like just from what I know about Bo Nix and how hard he is on himself and how he likes to be coached hard and how he, typically shows that resolve, like I still have a lot more optimism, but there's no doubt about it. He's got to be better. And he's got to get in Sean's ear of saying like, hey, we're not good at this, or I don't like this. I'm not good at it. So we'll worry about fixing all the things you want me to be better at the right time. But right now is the time to do things that we enjoy doing, we like to do, and that we're executing as an offense. So it's going to be a lot on him too, no doubt about it. But thank God this team's got 10 days off because I feel like they certainly do need it.
Yeah, and once again, it's not going to be a very fun 10 days in that building. I can promise you. Maybe for the defense, you go into the D-line, linebacker, cornerback room tomorrow, you're probably having a pizza party, whatever. They've earned it. But the offense, oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. But, yeah,
that was a really bad performance against a really bad Raiders team. And we just got lucky because they wanted to be worse than we did tonight, it seemed like.
Exactly. Like, there's nobody who should feel good about this game. And luckily, I think from all the things you hear, like I know you listened to quite a bit of 104.3. I've started to as well. And from everything that they hear in the building, they've said that the vibes of this team are not like good right now. Not to say that there's issues in the locker room, but that they're not happy with how they've played. And I don't think and you shouldn't be happy.
They shouldn't
be. So now you get to lock in and now you get to, it's pretty amazing that we're talking about this team potentially, realistically having a spot as the 1 seed in the AFC. Like, that's pretty remarkable. That is pretty remarkable for everything that we've seen so far. Like, I will say that not every game we won, you did get a little lucky with some of your games before this one. Like, I will say you did get a little lucky with, a few injuries. Like, you are pretty lucky that Joe Burrow went down. You are pretty lucky that, I don't know how to put this. You are lucky you got the ball back 3 times against Houston in the final 2 minutes last week. But, so whatever. But ultimately, you made the plays to win the game. Today, you just got flat out lucky because a bad team in your division just wanted to lose more. A bad team in your division just wanted to shoot themselves in the foot more. They just wanted to be more inopportunistic. We were opportunistic because we got points after we took over in the red zone. They did not get points because they missed the field goal. Yeah.
So Pop Daphne, I love that name.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're absolutely right. And again, it's one of those where we keep saying, hey, it's always good to get a win, but then like you have that sense of urgency like that, you got to get better and you got to get things corrected. But sometimes it really does take an actual loss for you to really lock in. because in the back of your mind, you're always like, well, we still won. So how bad could it really be? How bad could it really be? And so sometimes it just takes like a drumming or a real humbling experience for you to be like, nah, we got to get better. Like it happened with uh, Philadelphia last year. I remember like there was a lot of bad vibes in the locker room. Everyone was saying AJ Brown hates Jalen Hurts, but they were still winning. And then they had a rough stretch. I think if I remember, I think they lost back-to-back games, or there was one game where they just got absolutely flat out destroyed. And it that can either lock you in. And people say like this is a really good locker room. These guys love each other. They're really they got good leadership in it. So you wouldn't expect for like an embarrassing loss to go in the opposite direction. But again, sometimes it really does take that, because this team just keeps trotting out the same inept, inconsistent offense week after week, and we just keep getting lucky. And I don't want our luck to run out week one in the playoffs. You know what I mean?
That's where we're headed, honestly. Like if I know special teams was a lot better today, but Crawshot was a mess. But whatever, we'll talk about that later. But special teams, if they don't continue to get better, then you're not going to be in the playoffs for very long. Okay.
Yeah.
Kickoffs once again was a huge advantage for the other team. They did a little squib to Harvey in the first kickoff of the second half, and Harvey had no answer for it. And not only that, but we get flagged on that, and we started at the 9. I'm just like, dude. And then, the offensive side of the ball. Now, we have a championship caliber defense. Our defense can hang with anyone. We know it. We get a real test 10 days against Kansas City. Probably won't have Surtain, but who knows? But yeah, we get a real test against Kansas City. So I'm interested to see how our defense does. But my hopes are not high for this offense going forward unless we can luck our way into playing another really, really bad team.
And like I said, I'm not even asking for this offense to be like unbelievable or like, taking the league by storm. It's just we got to be competent and really consistent, because like it's so frustrating, because like when it's bad, it's so bad. It's like the worst offense in the NFL bad. And then when we show those flashes of like being so good, and it's like, what the hell are we? But we obviously do the so good a lot less than the so bad, but it's like you see it, so it kind of keeps teasing you a little bit,
Exactly.
But ultimately, it's just got to be so much better.
Yeah,
it really does.
It's been just terrible. And I had a lot of hope last year. At the end of the year, I was like, man, this offense, they were just missing a few key playmakers, and they were missing the juice to get over the hump. Because like I've been saying a lot, I've said it on your channel a lot. We're down 3 firsts, we're down 3 seconds, and last year that was still true. This year it's still true, but ultimately you're starting to see it pop up this time around, and I don't know what's happened. The reason I don't know what's happened is because this offense has substantially taken a step back. We were talking about what is Bo Nix going to be able to do with a legit tight end, with a legit running game. And while he doesn't really have the legit tight end yet, but the running game is so much better. And the fact that it's still looking like this is just bad, especially with how limited we truly were last year. And it was so obvious that we were limited, but everything just looks so much easier for the offense last year that I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah. I mean, maybe, there was obviously a reason the Broncos were really all in on Jalen Waddle. I mean, to an extent, right? And I agree. I wouldn't have given a first round pick for him, but there was rumors that they wanted, Shaheed, they wanted Waddle, they wanted to add to this wide receiver room, and maybe they see something. They're obviously not fully content and happy with how the offensive weapons are performing. But again, I really don't think that the weapons that we have are so bad to the point where it looks like this. Like I think a lot of it definitely has got to be put on the quarterback and the play caller, both of them.
Yeah, is
for
it?
sure.
Is it like a bottom half group of weapons and pass catchers in the league? Yeah, I'll say so. Like it's not, and that's nothing to be ashamed of, considering how the rest of the roster looks. Like the rest of the roster is fantastic, so that's stomachable for me. But when you have it looking this bad, and pretty much all the problems I can see are largely execution, and it felt like tonight guys just weren't getting open either. So I'm just like, all right, first round's got to be offensive skill, dude. I don't want to look to the draft right now, because ultimately we are competing. We are 8-2. I think looking to the draft at this point of the year, if you're 2-7, whatever, look to the draft. Start the draft talk early. But for me, like, you got to go all in on offense this offseason. I know that this team likes to really invest in the defensive side of the ball, but yeah,
Yep.
you got to really build that infrastructure.
No, I agree, man. I agree. And we'll see how they ultimately keep on competing. I mean, I think you got some positives in terms of the young guys. Like I like the way RJ's developing in terms of like the specific role that they want him in. He didn't really have much of a game today, but I like some of the flashes that Pat Bryant's it's showing. But yeah, ultimately you got to go out there and get guys that are certified ballers that can get things right on offense. And doesn't seem like we have that. But Kodiak, I appreciate you joining in, man. I'm gonna wrap this thing up. Again, my final message to everybody is be super pumped that you're 8-2. It's a much better. It's gonna be a lot better Friday tomorrow. Being 8-2 and winning as horrendously ugly as you did, than being 7-3 and losing as horrendously ugly as you did. So that's a big positive. But again, this team's got to get better, no doubt about it, because the Chiefs are coming to town. And I'll tell you what, like the whole game, even up until the buzzer, I'm thinking, and it's probably not going to change, the Chiefs are going to absolutely run through us.
Yeah.
Run through us.
If we don't have
if we put
Surtain,
anything, if we put anything even close to that on the field.
No, like if we don't have Surtain, especially for that, we are going to get our doors blown off by Kansas City. But once again, divisional games, whatever. The coaching staff's going to turn up. Everybody in that building is going to be on high alert. Casey, unfortunately, is coming off the bye, but you have a mini bye too. So we'll see.
Yep.
And you have a good opportunity ahead of you. And I guess that's the only positive thing that you can take away from this.
I mean, dude, you got an opportunity that's like, you got an opportunity to take a 3.5 game lead on the Chiefs.
Yeah, exactly.
6 games to go.
I know. And
obviously, you still got the Chargers, but that's pretty damn crazy. So
if I'm Sean Payton tomorrow, like when they're doing like the team speech or whatever, I'm showing like playoff probability, and I'm showing like, guys, all right, before I do all the yelling and screaming and like pointing out all the bad things the guys did on film, with the little clicker, I'm telling everybody you're 8-2 and you have a chance to go up 3.5 games on Casey, which is pretty wild to think about.
Yep. No, it certainly is, man. And we're definitely at that fork in the road kind of moment, right? Where if in the final 7 games the offense starts to look pretty damn decent, then all this is not going to matter. You might even be grateful that you went through all that to get it better. But you could also go to the point where you go on a pretty significant losing streak because, you constantly are just putting your defense in shitty positions that they're not always going to be able to get us out of. So the schedule gets tough. But again, appreciate y'all and everybody tuning in on the chat. You guys have been dope. Kodiak, thanks for joining, my guy. And I'll make sure to have a good night, man. Go Broncos.
Peace. Yes, sir. Go Broncos.